Welcome to module number 3 of Ecom Entrepreneurs Academy. In this module, we'll be discussing finding suppliers. Now, I know that this topic of finding suppliers and manufacturers may seem kind of scary or intimidating, or just the process of sourcing or importing products. But honestly, when I started, I felt the exact same way. I was like, how in the world does this work? It's such a, if you've never done this before, it seems so, intimidating and you think it's going to be so complicated. But honestly, it's a lot easier than you think. Okay, and you'll realize this as you go through these lessons in this module. And don't worry, I'll break everything down and show you exactly how everything works and what you need to do step by step. Now, I want to give you an overview first of this module and the lessons and what topics we'll be discussing in each lesson. Lesson 3.1, which is this lesson, we're going to be talking about how to actually find suppliers. What's the process of going about finding suppliers? Lesson 3.2, we're going to talk about the two different shipping options that you have, air and sea, and the differences and benefits and cons of each one. Lesson 3.3, important terms to know. So there are definitely some terms and abbreviations that are commonly used in the importing space, and you need to know what they are and what they mean before you actually delve into this topic. Number 4, lesson 3.4, we're going to talk about contacting and following up with suppliers. Lesson number 3.5, using your supplier selection spreadsheet. So very similar to how we had a product selection spreadsheet in module number 2. Similarly, we have a supplier selection spreadsheet here in module number 3. Lesson 3.6, we're going to talk about ordering and evaluating product samples. Lesson 3.7, we're actually going to negotiate between those suppliers who had the best samples. Lesson 3.8, we're going to talk about packaging and why that's important and how to go about that process. Number 9, labels and what kinds of labels and terms you need to know about. And finally, lesson 3.10, in which we'll talk about how to go about placing your mass production order with your final top supplier that you've chosen. So in this lesson, again, find suppliers. This is lesson 3.1. We're going to be talking about finding both international suppliers first, and secondly, how to find suppliers in the US. So let's first get into finding international suppliers. First, international suppliers are much more inexpensive than USA suppliers, generally without much loss in quality, even if you include shipping costs. Okay, so it's just much cheaper to go with international suppliers versus USA suppliers, and you're not really giving up too much in terms of quality. China is by far the most widely sourced from country. Okay, so the process that we're going to follow, almost every supplier that we find will be in China. And we can actually find suppliers, international suppliers, on a site known as Alibaba.com. So now let's jump into Alibaba and I'll show you exactly how to go about finding suppliers on that site. Okay, so go to your web browser and type in www.alibaba.com in the URL address bar, and you'll end up on this homepage. And the first thing you want to do is create your Alibaba account if you don't already have one. This is important because when you contact suppliers or you want to message suppliers through Alibaba, you need to have an account. And it's very easy and it's free, so just click on join free here. Just fill out the basic information that they're asking for and click on create my account, and that should do it. It's just a 1 to 2 minute process. Go ahead and do that first. If you already have an Alibaba account, then of course you can simply sign in. Once you're logged in, or once you're signed in with your account, what you need to do is enter the keyword of the product that you found on Amazon that you've decided that you're going to move forward with. So the case study from the previous module that we actually found was the cookie cutter set. So I'm going to go to Amazon, and I advise you do this too. Just keep Amazon open in another tab, just in case, so you can see and remind yourself of exactly what kind of product you're looking for. So cookie cutter set is my keyword on Amazon, and just have this open. So what you want to do in this search is first type in the keyword, but that's not the only thing you want to do. Secondly, you want to include any features of the product that are specific that you want the product to have. So for example, one of my requirements was that I'm going to make it a stainless steel or a metal cookie cutter set. Not only because I noticed that those that are metal or stainless steel are selling at a higher price, but also that they are performing pretty well as well. They're actually popular amongst the Amazon customer audience. So I decided that I'm going to do a metal one. Not only that, but something to consider right now, especially as the holidays approach very quickly, is that a holiday product like this one, it's performing extremely well. Okay, it's #1 bestseller in cookie cutters, and the reason for that is because it's a holiday cookie cutter set. Okay, and so that's also another thing for me to consider. And if you're looking into a similar product where you could have a holiday version of a product versus a normal cookie cutter set like this one, okay, if it's specific to the holidays and it'll sell better, then that may be something to consider. And that's what I'll do here. I'll put cookie cutter set and I'll put Christmas, and then I'll put metal, and then click search. So again, any significant features about your product, you want to make sure that you include it in the search so that you can find the best and most relevant suppliers on Alibaba. Once you're on this page and you can see all these different search results, there are many different types of suppliers, and we can actually right off the bat narrow it down a little bit and filter the suppliers just a little bit. The way we do that is we go to supplier types and we check on two boxes. First, we check on gold supplier. It'll reload the page, and then you can scroll back down, and again on the left sidebar under supplier types, you can check on on-site checked. These are the only two boxes that are essential that you need to make sure are checked. Okay, so that we're trying to find, again, the best quality, most reliable and credible suppliers. The reason we don't do trade assurance, first of all, this checkbox simply has to do with if you wanted to, for example, make payments through Alibaba and whatnot. And then also assess supplier is basically only applies to those suppliers that are very large suppliers, and typically those suppliers are much more difficult to negotiate with, and we're making it very limited, or our search results very limited, if we were to check on assess supplier. So that's why the only two essential ones, in my opinion, are gold supplier and on-site checked. Once those two are checked, then you can start scrolling through the results. And what I like to do and what I recommend is simply going through the search results on page 1 and seeing if any one of the results seems like it's relevant or it may be a good supplier. Then just open it up in a new tab. So I'm just going to scroll through here, and would you look at that? Isn't that interesting? I mean, look at this product and look at this product. It's the exact same product, okay? Now, again, we have to contact the supplier and make sure that this is actually the product that they're carrying. We need to verify that. Again, we'll get into some of that stuff later. But isn't it interesting how the exact product that's the best seller on Amazon, you find the exact image or supplier here on Alibaba. So of course I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And again, I'm going to keep scrolling through the search results, and anything that looks good to me, just open it up in a new tab. Okay, excellent. So I went through all of page 1, and I found 6 results. Okay, so we're going to get into the elements of the page in later videos, so some of these numbers and some of these things that you see here on the page. For now, that was the process that I wanted to show you. It's very simple, very easy. Again, just to recap, we went to Alibaba.com, make sure we created an account or logged into our account, search the keyword, okay, specific keyword that we're looking for, or the product that we're looking for in the search bar, click search, we scrolled down and we checked on gold supplier and on-site checked, and then we went through all of the page 1 results and we opened up any relevant or potentially good looking ones in a new tab. And you don't have to only do this on page 1, you can go through pages 2 and 3, because a lot of times there are many good supplier results, even 5-10 pages into the search results. So don't limit yourself to page 1. Definitely go through multiple pages, and that's it for finding suppliers, finding international suppliers. So now that we've gone through how to find international suppliers on Alibaba.com, let's go through how to find USA suppliers. Now, in most cases, you don't actually go for USA suppliers, again, because they're so much more expensive than international suppliers. So most of the time for any product, almost any product, you're going to go with an international supplier simply because it's so much cheaper. But there is one rule and one instance that I like to follow, and that is that anything that goes in or on one's body, you should definitely source from the US. You should source domestically. Okay? And that is because there are many concerns and regulations, FDA approved, many guidelines for products that are consumable, or, if they don't go inside the body, they go on the body. It's just much safer in every way to just go for a supplier from the US and avoid any troubles with a supplier from, in the international, from another country or from China. Okay, it's just much better to do it from the US. So how do you go about finding suppliers in the US? There's no site such as Alibaba because other countries, mainly China, actually dominate, Alibaba and many other sourcing or supplying or importing sites. So it's a bit of a different approach, and you're going to use google.com. Okay, so the all-powerful search engine, for which we try to find any kinds of information. We want to simply put our product name. Okay, so whatever product we're looking for. So if I'm looking for a cookie cutter set, or of course, like I said, we would only go for this approach if we were looking for a consumable product or something that goes on the body. So let's say it was some type of cream or some type of supplement, right? Then you would just put the name of that supplement or that product and just put private label after it. You can also put other terms such as manufacturer or wholesale, or even another term called OEM. All of these basically will pull up similar results, but what I would recommend the first you should try is private label. So put the name of your product and then put private label, and you should have some good results that come up, because manufacturer, wholesale, and OEM don't necessarily mean that you can private label the product. But again, they are also relevant searches that you can do on Google to find potential private labeling manufacturers. Okay, so a lot of times when you're searching on Google with any one of these four terms or these four methods, you'll actually notice that sites such as Alibaba and eBay and Amazon and other sites will dominate the search results. Okay, but you are specifically looking for, US sites and US suppliers. So you want to exclude, you don't even want to see Alibaba results or eBay results or whatever. You want to find legitimate results and try to get, as many relevant search results to show up as possible, so that you don't waste time and effort. So to do that, if you wanted to exclude one site, let's say Alibaba, all you would do is put this sort of text in the search bar after your search. Okay, so you're going to put minus site colon alibaba.com. If you wanted to exclude multiple sites, you would do almost the same thing, except you would just put a space in between every one of these, texts. So minus site colon amazon.com space minus site colon alibaba.com, and so on and so forth. And you can do this for as many sites as you want, for whatever sites you want to exclude from the search results on Google. So overall, based on what we just discussed in these past couple of slides, if you wanted to do a legitimate search on Google, what it would look like, or an example of it, is product X in quotes, private label, and then you put these three sites that you're excluding from the search results. Now, one very important note is that suppliers and manufacturers are horrible at ranking their pages and their sites on Google. Okay, so when you actually search for something, right, if whatever product you're looking to private label, you're searching that on Google, unfortunately, a lot of good suppliers will not show up on page 1 or even page 2 or page 5. Okay, and so what you want to do, or what you'll need to do, is go through at least 15 to 20 pages of Google search results, because the best supplier, honestly, you could find on like page 16 or 18. Okay, because suppliers, they just don't necessarily, either they don't care about ranking their stuff on Google, or they just don't do a good job of it, okay, even if they try. And so it's important that we do our due diligence and put our full effort in actually trying to find their pages and their sites, because honestly, many times I know people who have, done beauty products or consumable products. They didn't find their supplier on any one of the first few pages of the Google search results. They actually found them on the later pages. Okay, so you want to make sure that you go through all the pages you can on the Google search results. My recommendation is to go through at least 15 to 20 pages. So here's the step-by-step process on how to go about finding USA suppliers using Google.com. Step 1, search on Google and go through at least 15 to 20 pages of results as I mentioned. Okay? Now, as you're going through these results, you want to open up every search result that seems relevant or that seems like a potentially good supplier page or supplier site, and you want to very briefly, just within like maybe 5 to 10 seconds, just look at the site, look at the page, and see if there's any chance whatsoever that it could be a potentially good supplier. Okay, so you're not going through anything in detail. Honestly, it requires such little concentration. You can be watching, let's say, TV or whatever, and just doing this even with a distraction, because it's, you don't have to look into it very concentratively. Okay, again, do it very broadly and briefly. Don't spend too much time on any one of these pages or listings. If it looks good or potentially good, then it's a yes. If not, then you can close that. Okay, so open up every search result. If it's good, then you copy the link address of the page and you're going to paste it into a text editor. And once you're done, once you go through all these 15 to 20 pages and you've put together this entire list, this long list of links of pages that look good, then you're going to go through each one of these links and you're going to see which one meets your basic qualifications. So obviously the most basic qualification is that the supplier is located in the US. Okay, because many search results may come up where the supplier is located in the UK or Canada or wherever. So obviously that's the most basic qualification. You want to make sure that that page or that site of that supplier is actually located in the US. Number two, of course, can they even private label your product? You may come across results of suppliers who can possibly manufacture that product, but maybe they don't do private labeling specifically. Okay, and of course we need our product to be private labeled. So you want to make sure that that's done. And of course, any other qualifications that you have, for your product, you want to make sure that those basic qualifications are met. Okay, so then you're basically narrowing down that long list in this step 4 to a much smaller list based on these criteria or based on these qualifications. Then once you have that final list, you actually have to contact these suppliers. And contacting suppliers we're actually going to get into a later lesson in this module. So for now, we're just talking about finding these suppliers. This is the entire process. Again, search it on Google, go through at least 15 to 20 pages, open up the search results, and look at it briefly. If it looks good, if it's a yes, then copy the link address. If it's not good, then close the tab. And then the fourth step is to go through those links that you put down in that text editor and see if they meet some of your basic qualifications. If yes, or those that are yeses, those are the ones you're going to contact. Again, we're going to get into contacting suppliers later in this module. So to recap, we talked about international suppliers and how we can find international suppliers, mainly on Alibaba.com, and we also talked about how we found USA suppliers, and that is through Google.com.